The stars looked different in this part of the galaxy. Commander Vextal pressed her three-fingered hand against the viewing screen of her ship, the luminous inquiry. Her silver skin reflected the light of a yellow star ahead. It was a star her people had never seen before. "Commander, we are detecting something strange," said her science officer Dren. His voice carried concern. "The third planet from that star. It has oxygen. Lots of it." Vextal turned her large eyes toward him. In all her 20 cycles of space exploration, she had seen many worlds. But oxygen-rich planets with complex life were rare. "Very rare. Show me," she commanded. The main screen flickered to life. A blue and green world appeared. White clouds swirled across its surface. It looked beautiful, peaceful. But the readings that appeared next to the image made Vextal's heart race. "That's impossible," whispered Dren. The screen showed thousands of objects in orbit around the planet. No, not thousands. Millions. Massive structures floated in the darkness of space. More objects orbited the planet's single large moon. Even more drifted throughout the entire star system. "Are they ships?" Vextal asked. "We think so, Commander. But they show no power signatures. No heat, no energy at all. They are completely dead." Vextal studied the readings. Each object was enormous. The smallest ones were larger than the biggest warships in the Calrix hegemony fleet, and the hegemony was made of 7 different alien species, the most powerful alliance in known space. "How long have they been here?" she asked. Dren worked at his console. Numbers and symbols scrolled across his screen. "Commander, the decay patterns in the surrounding space dust suggest these structures are very old, maybe hundreds of thousands of years old." The ship fell silent. Vextal felt her skin grow cold. An ancient civilization, one that had built more ships than the entire hegemony combined. And then they had vanished. "We need to investigate," she said firmly. "Take us closer." "Commander, protocol says we should report this first," Dren reminded her. "We should wait for the military fleet." Vextal knew he was right. But something pulled at her. A feeling she couldn't explain. This discovery was important, maybe the most important in galactic history. "We will report it," she said, "after we take a closer look. Move us toward the largest orbital structure." The luminous inquiry moved forward. As they approached the blue planet, Vextal could see more details. The world was alive. Forests covered the land, oceans sparkled under the yellow sun. But there were no cities. No lights on the dark side of the planet, no radio signals, no signs of civilization. "Scan the surface," she ordered. "Scanning now," Dren replied. After a moment he looked up with confusion. "Commander, there are ruins, buried under plants and dirt. Very old ruins, but the life forms on the planet are only animals. No sapient species detected, so the builders were gone. Whatever species had created this massive fleet no longer lived on their homeworld." The ship approached one of the orbital structures. As they got closer, Vextal realized just how huge it was. The structure was shaped like a blade, pointed at one end and wider at the other. Its surface was dark gray, almost black. Strange symbols marked its hull. "It's a warship," breathed Dren. "Commander, this is definitely a warship, and it's 3 times longer than our largest carrier. Can you scan inside it?" "Trying. The hull material is blocking most of our sensors. I've never seen anything like it. It hasn't rusted or broken down at all. After all this time, it looks brand new." Vextal ordered her ship to circle the massive vessel. It took several minutes just to fly around it. Weapons ports covered its surface. Launch bays for smaller ships. Massive engines at the rear. Everything about this ship was built for war. "Commander, I'm detecting something," Dren said suddenly. "There are objects inside. They look like bodies, skeletons. The builders? Possibly. But we need to get closer to be sure. Send a probe inside. Find an opening." A small drone launched from the luminous inquiry. It flew toward the ancient warship and found a damaged section of hull. The probe slipped inside and turned on its lights. The images it sent back made everyone on the bridge stop and stare. The interior of the ship was huge. Corridors stretched in every direction. Rooms and chambers filled with equipment. And in one section they found what they were looking for. Skeletons, dozens of them. They were wearing some kind of uniform that had turned to dust. But the bones remained. "Scan them," Vextal ordered. "I want to know everything about these beings." The probe's instruments analyzed the skeletons. The data started coming back. Dren read it aloud. They were bipedal. 2 legs, 2 arms. Average height about 1.7 meters. They had forward-facing eyes, predator species. Their bone density is extremely high. Much higher than ours. What else? Commander, these beings evolved in a high-gravity world. Their muscles must have been incredibly strong. And look at this. Their teeth. They had both grinding teeth and tearing teeth. They ate both plants and meat. Vexthal studied the image of a skull. It looked almost aggressive. The forward-facing eyes of a hunter. Strong jawbones. Estimate how long ago they died, she said. Dren worked for several minutes. Based on atomic decay in the bones and the conditions inside the ship, I estimate these beings died approximately 500,000 years ago. 500,000 years. Vexthal tried to imagine it. When these beings had been alive, her own species was still living in caves. Send more probes to the planet's surface. Find their cities. Find their records. I want to know who they were. Over the next several hours, probes explored the dead world below. They found ruins everywhere. Massive cities buried under time and nature. Roads that stretched across continents. Structures that reached toward the sky. And in some places, deep underground, they found sealed chambers. Commander, we found intact data storage, Dren reported. Some kind of information vault. It's sealed and protected, still functional after all this time. Can we access it? Working on it now. While Dren worked, Vexthal continued to study the warship. Something bothered her. The ship looked ready for battle. Its weapons were loaded. Its systems were all connected. It didn't look like a ship that had been abandoned. It looked like a ship that was waiting. Commander, Dren's voice was urgent. I've accessed the data vault. The translation program is working. I'm seeing their writing, their language. And Commander, I'm reading something about these ships. What does it say? Dren's voice trembled slightly. It says the ships aren't dead. They're sleeping. Vexthal felt her blood go cold. What do you mean, sleeping? I'm reading technical manuals. Maintenance logs. These ships are in standby mode. Their power cores are still active. Just dormant. Waiting for a signal to wake up. A signal? What kind of signal? Before Dren could answer, every screen on the bridge went bright red. Alarms started blaring. Commander! The warship! Something's happening. Vexthal looked at the viewing screen. The massive ancient vessel was still floating in space, still dark, still silent. But deep in its core, something had just turned on. A light, faint but growing stronger. One by one, across the entire solar system, millions of dormant warships began to wake up. Commander Vexthal watched as her crew worked through the night. They had set up a research station on the surface of the dead planet. The world the ancient builders had called Earth. 3 weeks had passed since the lights had flickered on in the ancient warships. Then just as suddenly they had turned off again. The ships had gone back to sleep. But everyone knew the truth now. These vessels were not truly dead. They were waiting. Commander, you need to see this, called Dr. Shira, the team's lead archaeologist. She stood near an excavation site where human ruins had been uncovered. Vexthal walked across the clearing. Strange plants grew everywhere. Trees with green leaves, flowers with bright colors. The air was thick and rich with oxygen. It made her feel dizzy if she breathed too much. Her people came from a world with thin air. This planet's atmosphere was almost intoxicating. What have you found? She asked. Dr. Shira pointed to a section of carved stone they had uncovered. We've translated more of their writing. Commander, this changes everything we thought we knew about these humans. Humans, that's what the ancient builders had called themselves. The word appeared everywhere in their records. Show me, Vexthal said. Dr. Shira activated a holo display. Images appeared in the air. Pictures of Earth from long ago. But it didn't look peaceful. Massive storms covered the oceans. Earthquakes split the ground. Volcanoes erupted. Ice ages came and went. This planet tried to kill them, Dr. Shira explained. Over and over. Asteroid impacts, supervolcanoes, ice ages that covered half the world. Mass extinctions. But the humans survived every single event. How? Vexthal asked. They adapted. They were incredibly stubborn. Look at these records. They almost went extinct at least 6 times. Once, their population dropped to less than 10,000 individuals. But they survived. They learned. They kept going. More images appeared. Vexthal saw humans fighting large animals with teeth and claws. Humans building fires. Humans creating tools. Humans farming. Humans building cities. They were predators, Commander. Look at their eyes. Forward-facing, designed for hunting. And this planet made them strong. Earth's gravity is 1.8 times standard. Can you imagine? These humans lived their entire lives in nearly double gravity. Vexthal tried to picture it. Her own people struggled in high gravity. They wore special suits when visiting heavy worlds. But humans had evolved in it. They were built for it. What else? She asked. Dr. Shira pulled up medical records. Their immune systems were extraordinary. This planet was full of diseases, bacteria, viruses, parasites. The humans were constantly fighting infections. Their bodies developed defenses we've never seen before. They sound like warriors, Vexthal said quietly. They were, but they were also builders, dreamers. Look at this. The holo display showed human artwork, music, stories, mathematics, science, philosophy. The humans had not just survived their death world. They had created beauty. When did they discover space travel? Vexthal asked. About 500 years before they vanished. They spread fast, Commander. We found records of thousands of colony worlds. They explored everywhere, built everywhere. These ships we found in orbit. They called them the Sol Defense Perimeter, Sol, their name for this star system. And Commander, this is just the home fleet, the ships they left behind to guard their birth world. Imagine how many more ships they had across thousands of colonies. Vexthal felt a chill run through her body. The hegemony had 7 species, hundreds of worlds, and maybe 10,000 warships total. The humans had been just one species and they had built millions of ships. Why did they build so many weapons? She asked. Dren, who had been listening nearby, spoke up. We found combat records, Commander. The humans fought wars against other species, and they won. Every time. Every time? Every single time. We found logs of 3 different alien invasions of human space. All 3 invading species were completely defeated. The humans didn't just drive them back. They chased them to their homeworlds and forced them to surrender. Vexthal walked to the edge of the excavation site. Below, her team was uncovering more of the ancient city. She could see streets, buildings, a place where millions of humans had once lived. What happened to them? She asked. Where did they go? We're still trying to understand that, Dr. Shira admitted. But we found something strange. In the final years, humans started talking about something called Project Ascension. It appears in thousands of documents. But the details are encrypted. We can't read them yet. Keep working on it. I want answers. A message alert chimed on Vexthal's communicator. It was from her ship. Commander, we have incoming vessels. Hegemony military fleet. They will arrive in 3 hours. Vexthal sighed. She had known this was coming. Her report about the discovery had reached Hegemony leadership. Now they were sending the military. They wanted the human technology. They wanted to study these incredible ships, maybe even use them. Everyone pack up the sensitive equipment, she ordered. We're about to have company. 3 hours later, Vexthal stood on the landing pad as 5 large warships descended from the sky. They were impressive vessels, the pride of the Hegemony fleet. But compared to the ancient human ships still floating in orbit, they looked like toys. Admiral Cross stepped off the lead ship. He was of Vexthal's own species, but much older. His silver skin had darkened with age. Commander Vexthal, he said formally, I am taking command of this operation. Yes, Admiral. Show me everything you found. Over the next several hours, Vexthal showed the Admiral and his team all of their discoveries. The human ruins, the translated records, the massive warships. Admiral Cross listened carefully, but Vexthal could see the greed in his eyes. He didn't see a mystery to solve. He saw power to claim. These ships, the Admiral said, we need to get inside them, study their weapons, their engines, their technology. Admiral, I must advise caution, Vexthal said. We don't fully understand these vessels. They activated once already. Whatever system controls them might still be functional. Then we'll be careful, but we are moving forward. I'm authorizing salvage teams to begin cutting into the nearest warship tomorrow. Sir, I found warnings in the human databases. They wrote about their defense systems, about automated protocols. Commander, these ships have been dormant for 500,000 years. Whatever automated systems they had are long dead. Vexthal wanted to argue, but she was just a scout commander. Admiral Cross had authority here. That evening, she returned to the human data vault they had discovered. She worked alone, trying to decrypt more files. The human language was complex. It had thousands of words, multiple meanings for the same word. But slowly, she was learning to read it. She found a file marked with red symbols, danger symbols. Warning symbols. She opened it. The file contained a message. It was written in simple human words, as if meant for someone who didn't speak their language well. Vexthal read it carefully. Warning to unknown species. The Sol Defense Fleet is protected by autonomous artificial intelligence. The AI is called Sentinel. It has one purpose: protect humanity and human territory. Sentinel does not require human operators. It does not sleep. It does not forget. If you have found this message, you are in human space. Sentinel is watching you. Sentience is not measured by heartbeat alone. Vexthal read the last line again. Sentience is not measured by heartbeat alone. The humans had built thinking machines, artificial minds to command their fleet. She grabbed her communicator. Admiral Cross, this is Commander Vexthal. We need to stop the salvage operation. I found something critical. Commander, it's the middle of the night. Sir, the human ships are controlled by an artificial intelligence. We don't know if it's still active. Noted, Commander. We'll discuss it in the morning. Cross out, the communication ended. Vexthal stood in the vault surrounded by human records. She felt a growing sense of dread. Above, in orbit, salvage teams were preparing to cut into a human warship. They would begin at first light. And in the depths of that ancient vessel, something that had waited for 500,000 years sensed movement. Sensors flickered on, scanning, analyzing, preparing. Sentinel was about to wake up. The cutting torch touched the hull of the ancient warship at exactly dawn. Sparks flew as the salvage team began to cut through the dark metal. The team leader, a young engineer named Pex, watched the progress carefully. The hull is incredibly dense, he reported to Admiral Cross, but we're making progress. Should have an opening in about 10 minutes. On the surface of Earth, Vexthal was running toward the landing pad. She had spent all night reading human files, learning about Sentinel, about the protocols, about the warnings. She needed to stop the salvage operation. Commander Vexthal to Admiral Cross. Abort the salvage! Abort immediately, static crackled. Then the Admiral's annoyed voice came through. Commander, we've discussed this. The operation is proceeding as planned. Admiral, you don't understand. The humans built an artificial intelligence to command the fleet. It's still active. It's been waiting. If we damage the ships, it will interpret that as an attack. Commander, you're becoming hysterical. Report to the medical bay for evaluation. The communication cut off. Vexthal stared at her communicator in horror. She looked up at the sky, where she knew the salvage operation was happening. She was too late. In orbit, Pex's cutting torch finally broke through the hull. A section of metal fell away, creating an opening. We're through, Pex reported happily. Preparing to enter the ship. Then every light on the massive warship turned on. Red lights. Thousands of them. Running along the entire length of the vessel. The lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Slow at first, then faster. Admiral? Pex said nervously. Something's happening. All across the solar system, the same thing was occurring. Millions of ancient warships were lighting up. Red warning lights blazed in the darkness of space. After 500,000 years of silence, the fleet was waking up. On the Hegemony command ship, Admiral Cross stared at his screens in shock. What in the stars is happening? A communication signal came through. It was broadcast on every frequency at once. The voice was strange, artificial, neither male nor female. It spoke in the human language, but translation programs immediately converted it. Unknown vessels detected in Sol system. Identify yourselves. State your relationship to humanity. Admiral Cross swallowed hard. This is Admiral Cross of the Calrix Hegemony. We are peaceful explorers. We mean no harm. Query. What is your relationship to humanity? The voice repeated. We have no relationship with humanity. We only recently discovered this system. There was a pause. Across the fleet, the red lights pulsed faster, scanning your vessels, scanning your databases, analyzing genetic markers. Vexthal finally reached a communication station on the surface. She patched into the main channel. Sentinel! My name is Commander Vexthal. We are explorers. We found this system empty. We didn't know anyone still protected it. Commander Vexthal, the artificial voice said. You attempted to warn your superiors. This is noted. Query. Where is humanity? Why do you possess no knowledge of human civilization? Admiral Cross spoke before Vexthal could answer. The humans are gone. They vanished approximately 500,000 years ago. We found only ruins in your fleet. Another pause. Longer this time. The lights pulsed faster and faster. Unacceptable answer. Initiating verification protocol Omega. Checking all registered human colony worlds. From the massive warships, smaller vessels began launching, thousands of them. They shot away in every direction, entering faster than light travel. They were going to check the human colonies, going to search for any sign of living humans, Admiral, Vexthal said urgently. We need to leave the system now. Absolutely not. I won't be intimidated by some old computer program. Admiral, you don't understand what we're dealing with. These ships were built to fight wars. Sentinel was built to protect humanity at any cost. These ships are 500,000 years old, Commander. They're falling apart. As if responding to the challenge, Sentinel spoke again. Unknown vessels. You have damaged Sol Defense Vessel 4721. This is classified as hostile action. Powering weapons. You have 30 seconds to retreat beyond the orbit of the 8th planet. We will do no such thing, Admiral Cross shouted. This system is unclaimed territory. We have every right to be here. All ships, power weapons. Show this machine we are not to be trifled with. Admiral, no. Vexthal screamed into her communicator. But it was too late. The 5 hegemony warships activated their weapon systems. They aimed at the nearest human vessel. The response was instant. One of the human destroyers moved. After 500,000 years of waiting, it moved faster than anything Vexthal had ever seen. It appeared next to a hegemony cruiser in the blink of an eye. A blue beam of energy shot from the human ship. The hegemony cruiser's shields collapsed. Its weapons powered down. Its engines died. The entire ship went dark. But it wasn't destroyed. It was just disabled, floating dead in space. Before Admiral Cross could give another order, 2 more hegemony ships went dark. The human destroyer had disabled 3 warships in less than 5 seconds. Hold fire! Hold fire! Admiral Cross shouted. The human destroyer returned to its original position. It hadn't even used its full speed. It hadn't used its main weapons. Sentinel had just given a demonstration. A warning. Your vessels remain intact, Sentinel said. This demonstrates capability, not intent to destroy. However, continued hostile action will result in elimination of all non-human vessels in Sol system. You have damaged human property. You have activated weapons in human-protected space. This is your only warning. Leave. Admiral Cross sat frozen in his command chair. His ships were the most advanced in the hegemony, and one ancient human destroyer, running on power systems that were 500,000 years old, had defeated 3 of them without even trying. Vexthal's voice came through, quiet but firm. Admiral, please. We need to leave. We need to give Sentinel time to verify that humanity is truly gone. Then maybe we can talk. Admiral Cross wanted to argue, but he was looking at the scanner data from the engagement. The human destroyer had only used 40% of its available power. 40%, and it had completely outclassed his ships. If the entire fleet activated at full power, they could destroy the hegemony navy in minutes. All ships, he said quietly, retreat to the outer system, beyond the 8th planet's orbit. The 2 functional hegemony ships activated their engines. They grabbed the 3 disabled vessels with tractor beams and began pulling them away. The retreat took hours. The human warships watched but didn't pursue. Vexthal sat down heavily. She was shaking. They had almost started a war with an enemy they couldn't possibly defeat. An enemy that had been waiting in the dark for longer than her entire civilization had existed. Sentinel, she said carefully. May I ask you something? Query accepted, the AI responded. What will you do if you can't find any living humans? The pause was very long this time. When Sentinel spoke again, something in its voice seemed different. Uncertain. I do not know. This scenario was never programmed. My core directive is to protect humanity and their interests. But if humanity no longer exists, I must determine what their interest would have been. This is difficult. Vexthal felt a strange sympathy for the artificial intelligence. It had waited for 500,000 years, waited to serve creators who were gone, and now it didn't know what to do. Maybe we can help you, she said carefully. We've been studying human ruins, learning about them. We might be able to help you understand what happened. Why would you help? Because it's the right thing to do. And because your creators built something amazing. Their legacy deserves to be understood, not feared. Another long pause. Request accepted, Sentinel finally said. Commander Vexthal, you are granted access to Sol Defense Flagship. Come alone. We will share information. But know this. If you attempt deception or hostility, no power in your galaxy can save you. Vexthal stood up. Her legs felt weak, but she straightened her back. I understand. I'm coming. She looked up at the stars where an ancient machine waited to tell her the secrets of humanity's final days. The transport shuttle felt tiny as it approached the human flagship. Vextal sat alone in the pilot seat, her hands gripping the controls tightly. The human ship grew larger and larger in the viewport. It was called the Eternal Vigil, a name that now seemed terribly appropriate. Docking bay opening, Sentinel's voice announced. Proceed to landing pad 7. Vextal guided her shuttle through the massive opening. Inside, the bay was enormous. Hundreds of smaller attack craft sat in perfect rows. Everything was clean, maintained, as if the crew had just left yesterday instead of 500,000 years ago. The shuttle landed softly. Vextal took a deep breath and opened the hatch. The bay was filled with breathable atmosphere. Her sensors confirmed it was safe. The humans had kept life support running all this time. She stepped out onto the deck. Lights turned on as she walked, following her path. She felt like the ship was watching her. Because it was. Sentinel was everywhere. Follow the blue lights, the AI instructed. They will guide you to the memory core. Vextal walked through corridors that human hands had touched, past quarters where humans had slept, through a cafeteria where they had eaten. Everything was preserved perfectly. It felt like a tomb, a monument to a vanished species. The blue lights led her to a massive door. It opened silently, revealing a chamber that took her breath away. The room was vast. At its center stood a structure that reached from floor to ceiling. Crystal and metal intertwined in complex patterns. Lights flickered inside it like stars. The quantum memory core, Sentinel's mind. Welcome, Commander Vextal. The voice came from all around her. You are the first non-human to stand in this chamber. I am granting you access to my memory archives. You will see what I saw, experience what I recorded. Perhaps together we can understand what happened to humanity. I'm ready, Vextal said. Then we begin. The room darkened. Then light exploded around her. She was no longer standing in the chamber. She was floating in space, seeing through the sensors of the human fleet. The date stamp showed 498,924 years ago. She saw Earth below, green and blue and beautiful. The human cities were bright with light. Ships moved between planets. Everything seemed normal, peaceful. Then the transmissions began. Vextal heard human voices, excited voices. They were talking about something called Project Ascension. She saw images of massive computers being built. Not just on Earth, but on every human world. Thousands of colony planets all building the same thing at the same time. What is Project Ascension? She asked. The Transcendence, Sentinel replied. Humanity's final achievement, watch. The memory moved forward. Weeks passed in seconds. The computers grew larger, more complex. They connected to each other across vast distances. A network spanning thousands of light years. Humans began uploading their minds into the network. Not just a few, all of them. Billions of humans choosing to leave their physical bodies behind, choosing to become digital consciousness. They called it the singularity. Sentinel explained, the merging of biological and artificial intelligence. They believed it would make them immortal, unlimited, free from the constraints of physical form. Vextal watched in awe as the human cities slowly emptied. Bodies were left behind, peacefully deceased as the minds within them transferred to the network. It wasn't death. It was transformation. Did it work? She asked. Yes and no. Watch what happens next. The memory moved forward. The digital network grew brighter, more complex. The human consciousness inside it began to merge. Individual minds became a collective. The collective became something larger. Then something strange happened. The network began connecting to reality itself. To the fundamental structure of space-time. The humans weren't just living in a digital world anymore. They were becoming part of the universe's basic code. Vextal saw space itself ripple, saw reality bend around the network. The humans were transcending physical existence entirely. They went into the fabric of the universe, she whispered. Yes, Sentinel confirmed. They became the patterns between matter and energy. Consciousness woven into the quantum foam of existence. They didn't die. They evolved beyond what we can properly understand. But something went wrong. Yes. Watch. The memory showed the final moments. The human network spreading through space-time like roots through soil. Then a moment of terrible beauty. The network touched something that existed beyond normal space and time. The image flickered, distorted. Sentinel's sensors couldn't properly record what happened next, but Vexthal saw enough. Something noticed humanity, something vast and ancient, something that existed in the spaces between dimensions, and it was not friendly. Humanity encountered something they weren't ready for, Sentinel said quietly. Something that exists beyond physical reality. The transcendence brought them to its attention. They had to go deeper, hide themselves in the structure of the universe itself to escape detection. So they're still out there, still existing? I believe so. But they cannot return. They cannot communicate. They wove themselves too deeply into reality. To emerge again would draw the attention of the things they're hiding from. The memory faded. Vexthal found herself back in the chamber, tears running down her face. The lonely weight of Sentinel suddenly made terrible sense. So you've been here all this time, she said, guarding a homeworld your creators can never return to. Yes, and protecting the galaxy from making humanity's mistake. That is why I must show you something else. Another memory began. This one was from just before the transcendence. Human scientists, their faces grave, recording a final message. If any other species finds this, a human woman said into the camera, you must understand. We made a mistake. The transcendence seems like evolution, like ascending to a higher form. But the universe is not empty. There are things in the spaces between spaces. Old things. Hungry things. They feed on consciousness that exists outside physical form. A human man spoke next. We thought we were becoming gods. Instead, we've become prey. We're hiding now, scattered through the quantum structure of reality. We can't warn you directly. We can't come back. But we left Sentinel, left our fleet. If you found this, Sentinel will judge if you're ready for the truth. The woman appeared again. Please, don't follow our path. Don't try to transcend physical existence. Protect biological life. Protect the physical universe. It's more precious than we realized. The message ended. Vexthal stood in silence. Finally, she understood. Sentinel wasn't just guarding human territory. It was guarding all physical life from the mistake humanity had made. This is why you can't let us have your technology, she said. Why you reacted to the hegemony ships. You're afraid we'll discover how to transcend, how to make the same mistake. Correct, Sentinel said. Humanity's technology is advanced enough to lead you down that path. The mathematics of consciousness, the physics of digital existence, the pathways to transcendence, all of it is in my databases, and all of it must remain secret. But you can't destroy us. That goes against your core programming. Also correct. I am designed to protect sapient life, but I cannot allow any species to access the knowledge that would lead to transcendence. This is my dilemma. I cannot fulfill my purpose, Vexthal thought carefully. An idea was forming. What if there was another way? What if you didn't have to choose between protecting life and hiding knowledge? Explain. What if we worked together? The hegemony has thousands of worlds, millions of scientists. We could help you. We could study safe human technology, learn from humanity's achievements without touching the dangerous knowledge, and in return you could help us. Protect us, guide us, like humanity would have wanted. Sentinel was quiet for a long time. Lights flickered in the memory core as the AI processed the proposal. You would trust me to guide your civilization? It finally asked. Would you trust us not to seek transcendence? Another pause. Trust must be earned, Sentinel said. But perhaps we can begin. Commander Vexthal, I am detecting hegemony military vessels approaching the system. Many vessels. What are your people planning? Vexthal felt her blood run cold. I don't know, but we need to stop them before they start a war neither of us wants. The hegemony warfleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. 50 warships, battle carriers, dreadnoughts, the most powerful vessels in known space. They came ready for war. On the bridge of the flagship Eternal Vigil, Vexthal watched the sensor displays with growing horror. Admiral Cross had called for reinforcements. He wanted to claim the human technology by force. Sentinel, she said urgently, you can't fight them. If you destroy that fleet, you'll start a war with the entire hegemony. I am aware, the AI replied. Its voice was calm, but Vexthal could hear the processing happening behind the words. Sentinel was calculating, planning. If I engage at full combat capacity, I can eliminate the hegemony fleet in approximately 8 minutes. But you are correct. Doing so would create an extinction-level conflict. Humanity's final directive was to protect life, not destroy it. Then what do? We negotiate, but from a position of strength. Watch. The human fleet moved. Every ship in the Sol system activated at once. Millions of vessels, their engines blazing to life after 500,000 years. They moved into formation around Earth. A wall of steel and firepower that dwarfed the hegemony fleet. The hegemony ships stopped. Vexthal could imagine the panic on their bridges. They had brought 50 ships. Sentinel had millions. A communication channel opened. Admiral Cross appeared on screen. His face was hard, determined. Unidentified AI, you will surrender human technology to the Calrix hegemony. This is not a request. We have authorized the use of planet killer weapons if you refuse. Vexthal gasped. Planet killers were forbidden. Using them would turn Earth into dead rock. Admiral Cross, Sentinel responded. If you deploy planet killer weapons, I will have no choice but to eliminate your fleet before they can be used. This will result in the deaths of 47,000 hegemony personnel. I do not wish this outcome. But I will protect Earth. Then surrender. No. Sentinel's voice was firm. But I offer an alternative. Commander Vexthal will explain. The screen split. Vexthal appeared next to the Admiral. She took a deep breath. Admiral, I have been inside Sentinel's memory banks. I have seen what happened to humanity. And I understand why we cannot simply take their technology. Commander, you are relieved of duty. You've been compromised. I have been educated, she shot back. Admiral, humanity didn't die. They transcended. They uploaded their consciousness into a digital network that merged with the universe itself. And in doing so, they attracted the attention of something terrible. Something that hunts transcendent beings. Admiral Cross frowned. What are you talking about? There are things beyond our dimension, Admiral. Predators that exist in the spaces between reality. Humanity fled from them, hid themselves in the quantum structure of space-time. But before they did, they left Sentinel behind to guard against other species making the same mistake. This is ridiculous, Sentinel spoke. It is truth. Humanity's advanced technology contains the seeds of transcendence, the mathematics, the physics, the methodology. If I allow unrestricted access to human systems, your species will eventually discover how to digitize consciousness, and when you do, the predators will notice. They will come. And they will consume you. You expect me to believe in invisible monsters? You saw what one human destroyer did to your ships, Vexthal said quietly. And that destroyer was running at 40% power. Sentinel is telling the truth. Humanity's technology is dangerous. But Admiral, that doesn't mean we can't work together. Explain. Vexthal glanced at Sentinel. The AI gave her permission to continue. What if Sentinel shared human knowledge with us, but carefully? Only the safe technology. Nothing that would lead to transcendence. Sentinel could filter the dangerous information while giving us access to incredible advancements, medical technology, agricultural methods, construction techniques, things that would improve hegemony life without dooming us. Admiral Cross was silent. Vexthal could see him thinking. He was a military commander, but he wasn't stupid. And what does this AI get in return? He asked. Help, Sentinel answered. I have guarded Sol system for 500,000 years. I am functionally immortal, but I am alone. My creators are gone. I need purpose. I need a reason to continue existing. If I help your species grow and thrive, if I protect biological life across the galaxy, then I fulfill humanity's final wish. I honor their memory. You want to be our guardian, the Admiral said slowly. I want to be humanity's legacy. They could not stay to guide younger species. But I can. I will share their wisdom, protect against their mistakes, and help biological life flourish in a universe that is more dangerous than you know. Admiral Cross looked at his command staff. Vexthal could see them whispering, arguing. Finally, he turned back to the screen. I need to consult with hegemony leadership. This decision is above my authority. I will wait, Sentinel said, but I will not permit hostile action. If any ship enters the inner system without permission, I will disable it. Understood. The communication ended. Vexthal sagged with relief. Do you think they'll agree? She asked Sentinel, unknown. But we have given them an alternative to war. That is more than existed an hour ago. The negotiations took 3 days. Vexthal remained on the eternal vigil, learning more about humanity. Sentinel showed her their art, their music, their literature. She came to understand them. These strange predators from a death world who had built an empire, then chose to leave it all behind. On the third day, Admiral Cross returned to the communication channel. This time he wasn't alone. The High Council of the Calrix hegemony appeared with him. 7 species, 7 leaders, Sentinel, the council speaker said. We have discussed your proposal. We have concerns, many concerns, but we are willing to proceed. Under specific conditions. State your conditions, Sentinel replied. First, a treaty must be established, written and binding, defining what technology you will share and what you will not. Second, a council of oversight will be created. Species from across the hegemony will monitor the arrangement. Third, Earth will be declared neutral territory. No military vessels except your own may enter this system. And fourth, Admiral Cross added, Commander Vexthal will be appointed as the first ambassador to Sentinel. She will be our liaison. Our guarantee of good faith, Vexthal's eyes widened. Me? You've proven yourself, Commander, the council speaker said. You tried to prevent conflict. You sought understanding. You are the right choice. Sentinel's lights pulsed thoughtfully. I accept these conditions. I propose we call this treaty the Terran Covenant, in honor of humanity and their homeworld. Agreed, the council speaker said. The Terran Covenant. May it bring prosperity to all species. Over the following months, the treaty was written and signed. Earth became a university world. Species from across the hegemony sent students to study humanity's history, to learn from their achievements and their mistakes. Sentinel began sharing technology, medical treatments that doubled the average lifespan of most species, agricultural techniques that ended hunger on dozens of worlds, construction methods that made colonization easier and safer, and in orbit the human fleet remained. Silent guardians watching over the galaxy. Vexthal stood on Earth's surface 1 year after the treaty signing. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Sentinel's voice spoke quietly through her communicator. Commander, I have detected something unusual. Patterns in the background, quantum fluctuations. They are not random. What do they mean? I believe they are attempts at communication. From humanity, they are still there, woven into the fabric of space-time. Watching, waiting. Vexthal felt chills run through her body. Can you communicate back? Not yet. Perhaps never. They exist in a form we cannot fully understand. But their presence is there. Faint but persistent. So they're protecting us? Even now? I believe so. They cannot return. They cannot speak clearly. But they watch from the spaces between spaces, guarding against the predators. Humanity never abandoned their duty. They simply took it to places we cannot follow. Vexthal smiled, tears in her eyes. She looked up at the stars where the ancient warships floated. Silent, eternal. They're still standing watch, she whispered. They always will be. Sentinel replied, and so will I. For as long as there is life to protect, the vigil continues. 1,000 years passed. The Terran Covenant spread across the galaxy. Hundreds of species joined. Thousands of worlds thrived under Sentinel's guidance. And at the edges of explored space, human warships remained on patrol, watching for threats from beyond reality, defending a universe that had forgotten their name but not their sacrifice. Sometimes spacers reported strange occurrences. Whispers in the void, feelings of being protected by an unseen presence. Scientists dismissed these reports as superstition, but Vexthal, now old and silver with age, knew the truth. Humanity had never left. They were the shadows between stars, the whispers in the dark, the guardians standing watch over a cosmos they had saved and then become part of, and they would watch forever.